I've got a new 10 acre out here in Pitkin, Colorado. My name's Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. What we do is we buy and sell raw vacant lands. That's our specialty and that's our niche. I've worked in this area before. In this video, I'm going to cover a lot of common questions. One of the big things I'm going to talk about is how to go access this property on your own. And my favorite app that I like to use to view these properties. I'll talk a little bit more about the area. Here's a lake that's only for landowners out here in Pitkin, Colorado. And there's also a water system where you can fill your water tanks up. That's what a lot of folks do out here too. So I'll talk about that. But I'll give you guys a summary of this property. I'm going to kick it off with a quick disclaimer. This isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions with you through my own due diligence and my research and my 10 plus years experience in the industry. So our photographer did a good job of getting us some nice drone photos. I wanted to share a neighboring property. And the reason I'm sharing it is like, here's what's possible. This is a really special area in Colorado. So, and it's really affordable real estate. I mean, we've got 10 acres, for a really affordable price. And at the end of the day, we're open to offers. Like we're in the business of moving land fast. We do offer seller financing and we're negotiable. Like the goal of the deal is for both sides to walk away happy. So we want to have the right buyer. We want people to know what they're buying. So give us a call if you have questions, but this gives you a good idea of like, this is a really small space the neighbor used and they were able to develop. And it gives somebody an example of what's possible, right? You have to go through the permitting process with the state of Colorado, the POA and all that stuff, but it gives you an idea of what's possible. And this is what's on our property, actually. So this kind of little dilapidated shack is on our property or shed. And this, I thought, looking at the photos that the photographer sent, I believe this is on our property right here, if it's my understanding is correct. And I'll pull up satellite imagery, but I thought this would be a good little turnoff spot. And maybe this isn't now looking how close it is to the neighbor's A-frame. But there's a little spot on our property I want to show you guys. I think it is that shed and cabin. I think it would be a good spot for a camper or like a really tiny home, A-frame, something like that. Stopping on this photo for a minute, this is the water filling station. So it's a public water supply. So a lot of people don't even put wells in out here. They're filling up holding tanks and things like that. They're using these properties on the weekends for recreational use during the summer months, right? Or snowmobiling in the winter. And then obviously you've got this pond, you've got the lake that we shared a lot of photos of at the beginning of the listing that's available to property owners only for obviously high alpine fishing up here. So that gives us a good idea of what this property is. You can see people have built in this canyon. I mean, if you want to build something and do something cool with architecture, like go for it, right? That's going to be a process that's going to take time. If you're just looking to pull up a camper or have a little campsite, I think this would be a really cool property to do it on. Let's talk a little bit more about the topography and what I'm seeing in the property. Here's the town of Pitkin. If I zoom out, I'll pull it up on a map here to give you guys a quick bird's eye view of where we're located. So if I zoom out, we're right here. Here's Gunnison, Colorado. Here's the little town of Pitkin. You go right up the highway here, and you're going to end up at the property. It's North Armstrong Gulch Road is what you're going to take up. So, right out of Pitkin, you leave the Stumbling Moose Bar and Grill. You're going to head up that road. I'll even just do directions to the Stumbling Moose. See how close you are. So 2 miles away. I mean, it's nothing. If you drink too much, you could walk home, right? And so looking at the property here, Main Street in Pipkin, we drive up the main road. You're right in this canyon. It's pretty cool property. I mean, you could probably do a lot of earthwork and build into the side of the mountain like this. Otherwise, like I said, I'm pretty sure that little cabin and shack is on the property, but there's some flat areas kind of along the road here. And it's tough to visualize, honestly, with this satellite imagery. Let me see if Onyx Maps is better. So Onyx Maps is actually has some better imagery out here right now for some reason. Let me show you this. So this actually is much better imagery. So that shack that kind of dilapidated structure is right here. That should be, I haven't been to the property, so I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. But that cabin or like shack that we were talking about, I believe this is the road over here. This is that little like shanty. This would be a really good spot on the property to use. And that should be what this is right here. Right? I can't zoom in any further. That's as far as I can zoom in. So Let's see if I can get in there more for you. See that? And I can kind of draw this area out. Like, how much space does a person have to use for camping and recreation? I mean, it's not a lot, but there is already like a little cabin in there. Um, it's not a lot of space. Um, we could even draw it. Like, I could do this for you. I could draw the width of it and see how wide it is, at least where this cabin is from the road. It's about 10 yards wide. I mean, it's small. Like I said, you're looking at a small, tiny home or a campsite right there. Otherwise, you could do some more earthwork somewhere along this property. Maybe on this side you could blast away, but it's kind of a cool recreational property. I know it comes with its challenges, but it's a pretty darn cool area. And this person was able to work with a pretty small, limited space. I get that ours is smaller, but for a place to pull off, for a place to do a little tiny A-frame, maybe it's got some potential. We'll see. We'll see what the market deems, right? The land's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. You are adjacent to the national forest out there in Gunnison County on both sides of you. Theoretically, you could come in from behind on Fairview Peak Road and actually access the top part of the property from that. So off Fairview Creek Road, here's another access route too. You could come in behind the property. You could actually probably work with Forest Service and get an easement or a right of way to get a road into the top of the property and build up here. Like, that'd be really cool. That's another option. Or you can get up here and kind of off-road back here or hike in, and this is your campsite up at the top end of the property. So that's another option too. If you want to go view this top part of the property, you can get up here on this road, this Forest Service road that goes back here. It's called Fairview Park Road is what it looks like, Fairview Peak Road. And this Forest Service road will take you basically right here where the property is. And the app I'm using is called Onyx Maps. This isn't perfect with property lines, but it's pretty darn close. If I were going to invest a lot of money into this property, I would probably pay for a survey, just to know exactly where my property lines are. But maybe your neighbor has, and maybe when you go out there, you can see survey lines and pins and stuff like that too. I don't know. We're selling the raw product here in the property. So it is part of a property owners association. Just touching on that a little bit, it's Quartz Creek POA. That's what all those properties are part of. We've got a link to their website right there. The annual due is just $240 a year. Really, they're probably working on those roads and providing water to property owners. So you can read more about the covenants here, some amendments, road dedications, conditions, covenants, just stuff like that. And they've got a cool photo gallery. They've got some maps out there, so you can learn a little bit more about the area. And you could even give the POA a call if you want to learn more about the area too, and pick their brains a little bit too. So that's what we've got to share. There's no zoning in Gunnison County, so we've got some language here that doesn't really pertain to this property, a theme park, a mining operation, yada, yada, yada. I mean, more than likely people are using this property for long-term investment. Maybe they're going to build up on that top section, get a right of way through Forest Service, build a cabin up top, maybe some tiny little structure off the road there, or maybe just a pull-out spot for a camper during the summer months. That's probably the most tangible and the least path of resistance is just pulling a camper for the summer months off the side of the road. That's a pretty cool little campsite out here north of Pitkin. So that's what I have to share on that property right now. If you have questions, give us a call. You can reach us here at 605-299-5553. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this video was helpful in understanding what this property is a little bit more.